So what you need is a sheet of white paper. 1 12 by 12 will do the whole thing. And the first thing that you're going to do is cut one sheet of white paper down to a 6" by 11 3/4 inch rectangle. So you need one 6" by 11 3/4 inch rectangle. And then you will want one rectangle, don't worry about the inside yet, but it will be 5 inches by 5.5 inches. So 6 by 11 3/4 and 5 by 5.5. Then the first thing we're going to work on is the 6" by 11 3/4 inch piece of paper. And there will be a lot of scoring and cutting. So what you're going to want...
Chantel, you're recording, right?
I sure am. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you'll take your 6" by 11 3/4 inch sheet of paper, and you're just going to go from the left-hand side, and you're going to measure in 5 3/4 inch, and then you're going to score from top to bottom. And then from that same side where you measured in 5 3/4 inches, you're going to measure now 6 inches and score again. So then you'll have 2 score lines that are 1/4 inch apart. Like those little dots are meant to represent score lines. Once you've done that, you're going to turn your card the other direction. So now we're looking horizontally instead of landscape. And from either edge, top to bottom, you are going to do a score line at 1/2 inch. And then from the side, so how am I going to do? So we measured those first score lines in from the left-hand side here, and we measured in. Now we're working on the other side. You're going to score, you'll be able to see here, 1/4 inch in, and only to our 6 inch score line. I'm going to hold this here if anyone wants to take a picture of this. It might help you. I'll take a picture after too and send it in the email, but just so that you have it on your phone or your device. This is the goal of what you want your piece of paper to look like. And where there's black lines, that's all going to be cut out. Those little dot lines, those are score lines. So that's the goal right there. So anyways, once you have scored at the 5 3/4 and the 6, that 6 inch mark is kind of like the fold of the card. That's the halfway point. And then yes, these, from this side, you're going to score 1/2 inch on all the way along both. Then you're going to go in 1/4 inch, and you only need to go until this score line because the rest of this is going to be cut. You're not even going to, it's going to be not even part of your card. So from this edge to our 6 inch score line, you're going to score in from the top at 1/4 inch and in from the bottom at 1/4 inch. So now this part of your card should have 2 score lines and 2 score lines at the top and the bottom at 1/4 1/4. Then you'll flip it and you'll do the same thing at the top. You'll go in 1/4. And then you'll just have this half of your card has just got 2 score lines from all 3 sides at 1/4 inch. That's going to leave you in the corners. You will see like you have these little crisscross of score marks, and that's where you can you'll just cut that out. So I've just scratched it out with black to represent that you're cutting that out. So little crisscross score marks in the corner, you just cut them out. Likewise, on this other side, we had done that 1/2 inch score line all the way across. That's where you're going to cut. You're going to cut all the way up to that 6-inch score line, and then all of this will go away as well, top and bottom. And once that is complete, I'll hold up what the actual sheet of paper looks like. So then you're going to be left with something that looks like this. So we've cut those little corner notches out. We've cut this at the 1/2 inch mark. So it's, you know, up a half an inch shorter on the top and the bottom, all the way to our second score line, that 6-inch score line. Once you've done that, it's going to start to visually make a little bit more sense as to what we were doing. So if you were to fold at each of those little score lines that you left, it gives us the base of like a little box. So that's the 3 walls. The lighting is always so bad, the glare. But that's like the 3 little walls for the box part of your card. So once we've done that, what I did that sort of helped, I lined all 3 of the top. So the side, once you folded it and folded it, you kind of have a side and you have a top. Just like on this one, you have a side and then a top, because we did 2 scores, so it folds up and then over. I put score tape on all the top folds. I didn't pull the adhesive. I'm not going to pull the adhesive off, but I'm going to put a strip of score tape along all the top folds. And I'm using the skinny 1/8 inch just because that way I don't have to worry about it going over the edge anywhere. Okay, so I've put score tape on all 3 top pieces. And then I just peeled back the score tape just on the corners of the bottom one, just so that it would hold the other, like when you layer this corner on top of this corner, that I'm gonna peel this score tape back a bit so that it holds it in place. So just on the front one, I'm just showing the other camera here, so when you look back at the replay, you know what I'm talking about. It just holds that corner in place for you. I'm going to peel back the score tape and hold it in place. Just makes it a little bit easier to work with when it's held in place a little bit for you, so you're not fighting and wiggling so much with it. Alright, so once we've done that, that is the base of the project. So now that is a little, it's empty right now, hollow, but that's the base of a little box. The lid folds and would collapse over it. Now for this one, this was 5 inches by 5.5 inches. And it is, we're not going to glue it down just yet, but it does fit nicely on top of this guy, like that. But what I wanted to do first was I also cut a sheet of acetate the same size, and I'm going to completely cover it in acetate so we can turn it into a shaker. Score tape to put some acetate on that. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you guys the inside cut. So yeah, so far we had only cut this down to a 5 inch by 5.5 inch rectangle, and then I went in a 1/2 inch. So now it's on the inside you have a 5 inch by 4.5 inch hole that you cut out of the center. I forgot to mention that part. And I just use my trimmer, but like if you have a Silhouette machine, or maybe you prefer like a knife and blade, whatever. So now it's like the front of a shaker because it's completely covered in acetate. So after this, really all that's left is the decorating part. So for my demo, what I did, I don't know, I'll show the camera in a second here, but I built a little shaker box that's smaller inside of the full shaker box, because it would be so many little, like, whatever you wound up putting in there, flakes or whatever. It would take so much to fill, like, this whole shaker to make it look like anything. So I just cut a little square of pattern paper and put double-sided foam. You have to layer it up 2 layers because it's only 1/8 of an inch thick, so you have to stack a line of the double-sided foam strips, like you stack one on top of the other to make it tall enough. And I just created a little black square around my sheet of paper inside. I'll do it so you can see, to create a little mini shaker inside of the big shaker. Can you see that? Like, so the black circle is pattern paper. I'll try and take that off actually so you can see better. I'll take the embellishments off the front so we can actually see what's going on inside. Alright, we'll ignore how hideous all those leftover bits look. But I glued just a piece of pattern paper inside, flat down to the base of this. I just put a piece of pattern paper glued straight down to this, and then I framed it with double-sided tape, 2 rows of it. So I took a strip of the double-sided adhesive, and I took another one, and I built them up so that it's 2 tall. So now this is like 2 strips of double-sided foam tape, one on top of the other one. So you can see it's double thick. And then I just peeled that and stuck it around whatever size of pattern paper you had inside of your card. And completely, like, so you have to, just like any shaker, it needs to go all the way around to keep whatever you put inside from falling out. And then once you've done that, once you've embellished whatever you want, I also, like, this allows you to play around with layering. So I had glued, you know, some of the elements, some of the ephemera inside of the card on this back layer. And then other bits I glued on top of the acetate so that you get the multi-dimensional layers, right? There's elements in behind, elements on top. It looks like both. Once you've decorated that base layer however you're going to want to, then you can go ahead and peel the score tape off. Fingers are not working tonight. So peel the score tape off. And then whatever double-sided tape you had going inside if you're around your shaker, you'll peel the top of that adhesive off as well. You'll fill it with whatever element you want in your shaker. So all your adhesive is peeled. Now you have sticky score tape open. You've got this foam tape open and sticky. You have whatever you want inside your shaker, and that's when you set this protective sheet on top. That seals everything in for you. I have nothing inside of mine, but I'll still do this part to show you. I will try to do this part to show you. Holy smokes. Right. And then yours would be decorated. You'd have your little shaker inside of there. And this acetate would sit flat and hold everything inside of the shaker. And then your card collapses and you have a little shaker card box. Does anybody have any questions? I know you're not following along at this moment, so it might be hard to know for sure, but any glaring questions?